So we've now made it to the penultimate stage of your assessment. Now this is the part at which we can make an analysis of everything that we've been through. So all the information we've gained, we pull it together, inform your client, and then you can make a plan. So that's the final stage. So first thing we're going to do is analyse the information we've got. So the key structures, and this is where you can start to involve your client. So I've got Tamsin sat here next to me. So Tamsin, what we found was a muscle at the base of your neck, especially on that right hand side. It's called the scalenes, and that was particularly sore for you, I think, wasn't it? So
yes, it was.
I think the scalenes painful, so we're going to put a 2 in there, and they were very tender and with a decreased range of movement. So that's really useful information for us. The other muscle that was sore along the top of your shoulders, was the trapezius. So we're going to call those the traps, and that's the bulky muscle that we sort of saw was overdeveloped on one side. So we can put that, so you were asymmetric effectively, so you looked a little bit uneven. We talked about that one earlier. So we've got the asymmetry, but also there was a bit of crunchiness, tenderness. Yeah, we agree with that one. Perfect. And then the other structure that we thought was quite sore was that little really sneaky one that we found right at the top of your shoulder. We call that the supraspinatus. And that one was, again, quite painful on palpation, wasn't it? Sort of a bit tender, sort of a P2 we said on that one. So again, all information we can draw from up here. So we had that in the right-hand side. Perfect. The last structure that we also talked about were the deltoids. Now, particularly on the right-hand side, on those posterior fibres, were quite sore, right at the back of your shoulder, wasn't it? And again, we saw the decreased range of movement in the abduction.
Yep.
So all of that is what we're going to be trying to improve with your treatment. So overall, we can see there's quite a bit going on. So really sore base of your neck, looking at the scalenes and the trapezius, but also then through your shoulder, looking at the supraspinatus and the deltoids. So that's what we're going to concentrate our treatment on, is around that shoulder, and work out from that area as we go. So we can then make a really good plan for this treatment. So we're going to treat all these structures. So in order to warm them up and get a little bit of blood flow and mobility, we're going to use some effleurage and some petrissage, and we're going to do that for all of the structures. It's really important to get everything moving, so we are going to target everything as we go. If you're happy for us to treat that.
Yep.
Perfect. And then more particularly, we're going to look at the scalenes. Now, they were really sore, so we might look at some really gentle pressures on there. Now, this is a slightly more in-depth technique, can be quite uncomfortable, but it'll be really controlled, and I'll talk you through it as we go. So really important to just stay communicating with me when we do that one, but I'll talk you through it the whole time.
No problem.
Again, through the trapezius. Now, this is where it felt crunchy. We might look a little bit more potentially to look at some frictions. So this is something that's slightly more invasive technique again, but again, it will be really controlled, looking to start to remove some of the adhesions in that area.
Okay.
Now, the supraspinatus, again, quite sore. I might be looking at maybe some vibrations in that area because it was quite sore, so I don't want to inflame it. So maybe we'll look at that. And again, maybe some basic pressure just to get some more movement and blood flow going through that area. And the deltoids, I'd be quite happy potentially to treat them. The effleurage, petrissage, hopefully that will get them all moving perfectly well through that.
Lovely, thank you.
The other thing that we might do at the end is start to look at a bit more of a passive stretch now, especially where that movement in your neck was really poor over to one side. So I'm going to record that we might do a passive stretch, perhaps on your trapezius and maybe on the scalenes as well, because that'll target them both within the same stretch if you're happy for that.
Yep, that's
it's a really nice technique, lets me get the movement going without you having to do anything, so you can just lie there and relax. So then we've got a couple of options. Now, as level 3 therapists, what you can go away and do is advise your client to stretch and hydrate. And that is exactly what we're going to ask Tamsin to go away and do. However, we've also got options at this point to potentially refer to a personal trainer for more exercises. So this can be something that we can discuss. So Tamsin, you and I can discuss that throughout the treatment, the possibility of a PT and sort of exercise referral. And so these are things that you're going to be able to do. Now, as you become more experienced, as if you go on to your level 4 qualification, you will be able to do much more of this exercise referral yourself. So this can become much more in depth. But for now, this is what we're going to be looking at. So on a continual basis, I'm going to be asking Tamsin to stretch and mobilise all these structures we've talked about. Especially sort of looking at the supraspinatus, I want lots of mobilisation, so I'm going to target that through getting Tamsin to practice that abduction movement, but also to sort of just do lots of gentle shoulder rolls as well. So again, that'll be something I'll show Tamsin throughout the treatment, and we'll discuss more detail afterwards. And again, the deltoids, I'm going to get Tamsin to stretch those. Tamsin, are you happy with that plan? You're happy with everything we've discussed?
Yeah, I think so. That's good.
So given that Tamsin's agreed, hopefully, for the treatment to take place, what I'm going to warn you, of course, is my disclaimer. This is something that you have to discuss with your client. Is really important. They could feel a little bit sore after treatment, so record that you've let your client know. At any point, if the treatment is too painful or you want me to change what I'm doing, absolutely let me know. Again, really important to discuss.
Will do.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my client to sign here. So Tamsin, if you could pop your signature on there just to consent to treatment. And then pop a date on. Perfect. And then I'm going to sign underneath as well, just to say that I've also been through this plan. It's my plan and I'm happy with it. Now, once this document is signed, you can make no further changes to it. This can now not be adjusted. So Tamsin has put that on there. We're also going to make sure we pop a line through just to make sure that we complete that. There's nothing else that can be added afterwards. Tamsin can see that as well as my client on this occasion. So what we can do now is get your client on the couch and start the treatment.